Good afternoon. I apologize. We've been in too many long meetings today, but welcome to the Conventions, Tourism, and Public Entertainment Facilities Committee meeting. We have a few resolutions to review. And the first one is Resolution 2018-1158. Sponsors are Glover and Hastings. Approves the issuance of public facility revenue improvement bonds by the Sports Authority of Metro, authorizing the pledge of certain revenues of the Metro government as security for the bonds and authorizing an official statement to be distributed in connection with the sale of the bonds. Councilman Glover.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now it's the discussion. Councilman Glover, you want to?
Yeah, Codes and Fair has deferred at one meeting, so I think Rule 24 will apply. So that's really what I'd prefer is if we would do that. I think there's some work that needs to be done to it, and I think it gives me a couple of weeks to do that.
Okay, yes.
And with that said, I make a motion that we defer this for one meeting.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved.
I'd like to.
Wait a minute, hold on. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
I would like to vote on this without deferral.
You want to explain why?
I think it's something that the Budget and Finance Committee voted down 7-2 for good reason, and it sets a precedent that's unreasonable for the circumstances, and I think that this committee should vote for this now, one way or the other.
So I will actually change this up a little bit. I'd like to move for indefinite deferral on this one. I think if we're going to talk about that we don't want to have an MLS stadium, that's one thing, but I think this nonsense about looking at alternative locations is just it's a distracting part of the conversation. We're either in on MLS with the team dedicated to this location, or we're going to talk about the fact that MLS is a bad idea, but this is not the way to have that conversation. So
I would second this as a.
Well, now I'm a little confused because I don't know if because your
Mr.
discussion
Jameson
is to
determine the appropriate.
right. So can you assist us, Mr.
So
Jameson?
the deferral motion takes preference. If you have those that would like to not defer and vote it down.
Right. I understand that the deferral motion. So the deferral motion.
You got to have a vote on that.
Okay. Now, Councilman O'Connell just deferred for indefinitely, but we had a deferral for one meeting. So which takes
The
precedence?
current motion on the floor is a deferral for one meeting.
Right.
And Councilman O'Connor suggested indefinite. So
Correct.
if the original movement, Council Lady Van Rees amends her motion to make it indefinite, that's proper. She can.
I would like to do that.
Actually, it was my motion to defer for one meeting,
And then if you will amend your motion to make it indefinite, that's appropriate.
but I don't want to amend my motion.
Then you'll have a motion, you'll have a vote on your motion to defer once.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the other one if it fails.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, I'm assuming that this is about MLS, but it doesn't say that it's MLS. It seems to be.
Actually, Madam Chair, if I may, it does not remove the fairgrounds
Correct.
from the potential site.
Right.
It does, however, look at other options because I think some legitimate questions were asked yesterday and were not able to be answered properly, in my opinion. There's also some parts of the current resolution that have that specifically, it says a negotiable bond versus a competitive bond. So there's some issues inside of this that I think need to be cleaned up. But I think it's been a lot of confusion on that the fairgrounds have been taken out. It has not at all. So that's why I think it allows us to clean up a little bit of language.
I don't think it's about taking out the fairgrounds. I mean, I think if we're going to have a conversation as a city about whether or not we want to be an MLS city, that is a fair conversation to have. But if we are going to be an MLS city, the team has made clear that the franchise exists on the premise that we have secured a location for the team.
So we have a motion on the floor for deferment of one meeting. And it has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Or wait, so deferral?
Well, this is the first one,
Okay.
and then we're gonna.
No.
No.
Okay.
So it's 3-2.
But that's just the first one.
Well, but I think.
It's
doesn't
one,
that
it's a
preempt-
one meeting
It
deferral.
Preempts it.
Yep.
Does it
Motion
preempt
passes,
it?
it's deferred for one meeting.
Yep.
Sharon, did you vote yes?
I did.
So that's 3-2.
Thank you, Chair.
See you in 2 weeks.
Months away from this anyway. There's 4 more votes that have to come through.
This is just a dumb way to have the conversation.
I disagree.
Okay, so the second,
100%.
we've got a couple more.
Exactly. Dumb way to have
There
it.
is also Bill 2018-1160. The sponsors are Hurd and O'Connell. And it provides for the designation of public property within specified areas of downtown Nashville as a temporary special event zone during the time period beginning at 6 a.m. on June 6, 2018, and ending at midnight on June 11, 2018, relative to the use of these areas in conjunction with the 2018 CMA Fest and related activities and events. Jim,
Second.
any questions or discussion?
So we are gonna make the Stanley Cup playoffs again. Well, it's like,
Yes, we are.
we're gonna get all the way to the finals. Is the calendar hook up again with CMA is the same?
Yes.
So, but this time we know where the stages are to get and the sound equipment to secure?
I'm with the CMA, I can
Okay,
speak.
so something like,
Yeah,
I wanna make
they're all
sure.
in exactly the same spots they were last year.
Okay, so that's, I just wanted to make sure, cause it's gonna get crazy again down there, but at least this time we kinda have an idea what to expect.
But crazy in a good way.
Yeah,
Crazy.
you're crazy in a good way.
At the last game, standing on the plaza was one of the preachers, standing on a riser with his microphone and a speaker way up high, greeting all the people with the most vile language you can imagine. We don't need that for CMA,
Right.
or the Stanley Cups for that matter.
We don't need it for anybody.
No, we don't.
We certainly also don't need it in front of Hume Fog as students are getting out.
Exactly.
That's a different matter.
Wow.
Well, we have a motion on the
Downtown
floor.
problems.
So, and if I may,
Yes.
what does this actually create?
So, this is more or less being very specific. It's being more specific than I think the Metro Code of Laws generally is about provisions in which, you know, you find that sensitive balance of First Amendment rights, but also those scenarios where, for instance, unpermitted vendors are in an area where, for instance, CMA obviously has an interest in protecting its brand for CMA Fest, right? So you might find, for instance, off-brand vendors who are there unpermitted. And this basically says, because this is a very big deal event, we're going to tighten up those parameters around which public safety and permitting are looked at. That's long and short of it. I'm sure Terry could speak to other specifics.
So, when this passes, we could take the preacher and basically ask him to move to somewhere else?
It sets up a speech zone that he can do his thing, but he can't do it where he decides to do it.
Okay, that's
And so,
exactly my
for
question.
instance, when,
Not that I don't want to violate his First Amendment rights.
correct,
It's let me see, a reasonable content neutral time, place, or manner restriction such as a noise ordinance is permissible under the First Amendment.
Councilman, they're calling it the public participation area, so,
I like that.
round area.
That's brilliant. I like that.
That's a nice
and
one.
I mean, so for instance, I remember years ago, when George W. Bush spoke, I wanna say at the Lowe's maybe, they had a similar scenario where people could, you know, go be expressive.
I can honestly tell you that I've been through this nationwide for the past 2 years.
And if we have other major international events, if FIFA, for instance, comes to Nashville,
Which it probably will.
well, again, this is contention upon the previous discussion, but in those types of scenarios, a lot of, and I'm sure you are very familiar with this, the larger scale the organization is that is creating a premier event, the more they want to ensure the safety of the public, the protection of the brand, and the general ability for people who are there for that reason to enjoy it uninterrupted.
It has my 100% support.
Was there?
Right, so let's go ahead.
Do you have an area in mind already, of an area that you?
It has to be within the special event zone.
Right, so
Special
it's
event zone runs
prescribed
from
in the bill.
KBB to Commerce, 8th to the river.
Somewhere in there.
Kind of up where the new federal courthouse is being built.
If I can
I
ask,
think that'd be a great place.
In the construction area.
Just saying.
So, excuse me, Mr. Jameson. So I've been presented with an amendment for 1116. And I'm not sure that I want to
Run the amendment.
bring the amendment, but I'd like to discuss it.
It's intended as a friendly amendment by the administration.
Yeah,
And we
I'm
support it.
perfectly comfortable running the amendment after reading.
Say that again?
I'm personally comfortable running the amendment, but I'm happy to discuss.
Uncomfortable?
No, I am comfortable.
Okay.
I am very comfortable.
So I'm trying to figure out how do I bring it up. I know we have a motion on the floor.
Why don't I do this? I will move to amend the bill per the administration's request.
I'll second that.
Okay, so now we're open for this.
Now we're on the amendments.
Now we're on
Okay.
the amendment.
Thank you. So the amendment says
Yes.
that in section 7, it is the intention of the Metropolitan Council that the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department focus its enforcement efforts upon preserving the peace and securing the safety of the CMA Fest participants while the special event zone is in effect.
Feels a little redundant. I mean, aren't they
So,
doing that anyway?
I mean, isn't that what they do?
That's what their
Well,
job is.
correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like a over-clarification just to make an over-clarification, correct?
So,
Declare.
so I don't think this went out to all members of the committee, but legal John Cooper sent a note to us saying that this was drafted in consultation with MNPD, basically for their request stating that their primary focus is going to be on public safety, not on enforcing prohibition on rogue vendors, right? So it's a discretionary amendment, but it kind of puts at the forefront of their obligations, right? Because as we all know, in a city as large as Nashville, yes, the Metro Code of Laws is there, and depending on priority, resources available, et cetera, we all know full well that 100% enforcement is a noble and worthy goal, but we fall short on it. So in this scenario, if a crisis were to happen, if there were a first aid event, if they needed first responders for something, MNPD doesn't want to be held to, somebody selling T-shirts if there is somebody that is being robbed down the street, right? Like, they don't want to have it be that there's any lack of clarity about what their responsibilities are.
Which I think they have that pretty
And it seems to me that they should have it adequately staffed to address those issues as they come up. It's not like they're gonna have 2 people.
That's true. I guess I would say this doesn't bother me because I would say from my standpoint, having, dealing with this issue in Central Precinct all the time, I think we see a lot of the general public, a lot of the merchants engaged in commercial activity, occasionally expressing that concern that maybe we need to be doing more public safety orientation, right? And just, having people, for instance, right, we have this, just the resource tension of, okay, we constantly have 2 officers stationed at, for instance, Church Street Park. If those officers were available to actually do public safety issues on and around Lower Broadway and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, when activity is more intense and there is greater likelihood of pickpocketing and actual property crimes, personal crimes, et cetera, that would be great. This says we know there's a special event coming up. Let's make sure we're very upfront with the public that police are there to police.
And I don't technically have an issue with that, but it concerns me that I think we need to have the same kind of compassion and force when it comes to the safety of every Nashville citizen and not just for a special event. And that's the concern that I
Totally
have
appreciate that concern.
with this, and especially in light of the issues that took place a week or so ago at the Waffle House.
Yes.
So I'd like to see something, when we put this kind of attention to making sure that everything is great for this, I'd like to see that same type of effort put towards things that, not that this doesn't matter,
No,
but those
I
things.
totally get it. It's interesting because I think here we can talk about a very specific circumstance, and I know what you're talking about is broader. I don't know, right, that's the kind of thing where we could, as a body, do a resolution, or we could look at a potential update to the charter or MCL. I think in this case, because we are creating this zone, I don't mind, giving something, sort of having a statement that is deferential to how the police want to approach this issue that is really mostly just a statement to the public about how we expect their conduct to be exhibited, so.
Right.
If I can. I'm just, I know that there's all kinds of special events that happen downtown and not just CMA. Is this, because it's so specific in regard to the dates and it's limited to this year only? I'm just wondering if there was any discussion about, how this could affect other situations, because I think about Nashville Pride and I think about Live on the Green and other situations where they might also want similar zones. I mean, did you consider?
We did talk about that, and really it's just a question of, I think this is, there's sort of that, what's the threshold of attendance, what's the threshold of visibility of the event, and, we actually did talk about this in the meeting that, kind of, in a pre-meeting with CVC about, I actually would worry that we don't want to get into this environment where we're looking at, Tomato Art Festival or Capital District Street Fair or other Nashville events that aren't going to be the kind that draw 150,000 people, right? There's probably not a great answer to that question, right? Of when, what is the
You'd
scale?
almost have to have the people of those events bring it to someone's attention in order to do that. Cause I'm particularly thinking about Nashville Pride, because you've got 50,000 people, and there's no question that there's a lot of hate speech that goes on, and I would rather it be quarantined.
I mean, I would encourage you to coordinate maybe with CVC.
Council Lady, if I can just add one thing with the Nashville Pride, they're actually at a bit of an advantage because you have to have that ticketed event to get in, so then that makes it almost like a private event.
Yeah.
So you can have some additional enforcement.
The tickets are on sale now.
Well played,
Shameless
Council
plug.
Lady.
Nice, but shameless.
All right.
So, I guess we can go back and vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then the bill is.
And now we can vote on the bill itself. All in favor?
As amended.
As the bill as amended. All in favor? Aye. Any opposes? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor.
Good discussion.
I believe that's it.
Aye.
Everybody, today is May